All right, let's talk about something that hits close to home for a lot of us. It's called the Soulmate Paradox.
So let me ask you something, and I want you to be really honest with yourself. What if your whole idea of a soulmate is actually the one thing that's hurting your love life? I know it sounds kind of crazy, right? But stick with me, because this one idea might just change everything.
And this really gets to the heart of the matter. We're constantly told to find that one effortless match. You know, the one where everything just clicks. But the truth? That's a myth. And it's not just a harmless fairy tale. It might actually be a dangerous one.
Okay, so let's dive into Section 1, the allure of the one. We're going to look at why we chase this fairy tale so hard.
I mean, think about it. This idea is everywhere. Movies, social media, they're all selling us the stream of an instant connection. And look, that initial spark, it's real. But a lot of the time, it's just a chemical rush, a kind of love fog that completely masks some pretty big incompatibilities hiding underneath. And that's how you fall into the trap of constantly searching for the one, comparing every real, flawed human being to some impossible, perfect ideal. It's a recipe for disaster, really.
But it's not just about being disappointed. There's a real danger here, which brings us to Section 2, the danger in perfection. This is where we see how perfect becomes a huge problem.
So here's the breakdown, plain and simple. The myth tells us love should be effortless, easy. But the reality? That belief actually stops you from growing. When you think it should be easy, you stop putting in the work. You start dodging the tough conversations, the very things that actually build a deep, real connection.
And this leads to something really interesting called the boredom paradox. Get this, a relationship with zero friction, zero challenges, it doesn't become perfect. It becomes boring. It gets stagnant. Because without those little bumps in a road that force you to actually talk and figure things out, the whole thing just loses its spark.
And you can actually see how this plays out. It's like a downward spiral. First, you just assume you're perfectly compatible. So then, what do? You start avoiding the crucial, sometimes awkward conversations because you don't want to rock the boat, right? You're scared of disrupting this perfect picture you've built. And before you know it, the relationship just flatlines. It stagnates. The very perfection you were trying to protect ends up being its undoing.
Okay, so if chasing perfection is the problem, what's the answer? Well, that's what Section 3 is all about. Let's talk about why growth is the new romance and how we can start building real intimacy.
So, it's time to throw out the old myth. Here's the new rule. The true engine of a great relationship isn't some magical destiny. It's conscious effort. It's choosing to show up and build something together every single day.
And this all comes down to a really important mindset shift. You got to go from thinking me versus you to us versus the problem. Stop searching for a perfect fit and start getting good at navigating your differences. And this is a big one, stop avoiding conflict and actually start embracing healthy disagreements. That's where the good stuff happens.
Yeah, I know it sounds a little backward, but there's an unexpected beauty in conflict. The right kind of conflict, anyway. Seriously, working through your differences is how you build real, genuine intimacy. Having those healthy disagreements actually makes your bond stronger because you prove to each other that you can get through tough stuff. Your differences, they're not a threat. They're actually the fuel for your relationship's growth.
All right, let's wrap this all up. Section 4, how to actually build your soulmate. We're moving from myth to mastery. So it's time to redefine soulmate. A soulmate isn't someone you just find perfectly pre-made waiting for you. No, a soulmate is a partner you choose. You choose to build with, to grow with over and over again. It's something you create, not something you find.
So, okay, how do you actually do this? It really boils down to 3 simple but powerful steps. 1, get radically curious about your partner. Never ever think you've got them all figured out. 2, practice active listening, like really listening to understand, not just to reply. And 3, make the choice every day to prioritize growth over the fantasy of perfection.
And that leaves us with one last question to think about, a really big one. Are you still out there searching for a perfect fit? Or are you ready to start building a great love? It's a choice, and it's all yours.